Welcome to part 2 of our Prelude to Interactive Pieces. This time, we're going to talk about instruments and automation. Specifically, we're going to talk about looping. So, again, recording considerations for instruments. What type of mic are you going to use? Dynamic or condenser? Again, the dynamic has great rejection of ambient sounds, and that means you can avoid bleed. This works best on amplifiers due to the fact that dynamics can also handle a higher sound pressure level than most condensers before they start to clip. Condensers, however, have some nice sounds for instruments. A large condenser will import more color, but a small diaphragm condenser will allow for better stereo separation when used as a pair, and they can generally get a little bit easier to place in terms of things like, say, drum kit, or if you're close miking multiple violins. For the polar pattern, cardioid or supercardioid are best for the off-axis rejection, but you need to make sure you stay on axis. I recommend using these in stereo pair in either an XY or ORTF configuration for stereo. Omnis are not subject to the proximity effect boost in bass frequencies, but will pick up more room sound. However, I have found them to be excellent on marimba and vibes in particular as overhead spaced pairs. Figure 8 mics can be very interesting, but primarily you will want to pair it with a cardioid to get the classic mid-side stereo image. Again, make sure you have a stable mic stand that can support the weight of your mic or the mics and the stereo bar. A DPA mic weighs next to nothing, but a Mojave 301 is 1 pound before you add the shock mount. As always, properly set your input gain to avoid ambient noise and clipping, and record as cleanly as you possibly can. For looping, this is going to get a little fun. All DAWs have the ability to loop segments of audio. You are responsible for knowing how to do this in your chosen DAW, but there are a couple of general principles we can go over. First things first, use a click track when you're recording. Then, warp and move the transients to start on beat as needed. Make sure you start on beat and that you end on beat. Next, make your cuts at 0 crossings to avoid clicks. You do not want clicks. You may need to explicitly tell the DAW that you're looping before you can loop a region. Usually this is going to be a right-click action, and then you can just drag out the edge of the region to loop as normal. Pre-planning will be essential here. Will your loops work together in terms of the tempo, the length, the key, or will they be clashing and contrasting? We're going to look at these issues in class, but definitely go online and listen to a lot of loop-based music. Minimalism, in particular, phase pieces like piano phase, violin phase, come out. I would also strongly recommend, if you haven't listened to it religiously yet, Donuts by Jay Dilla.